it will create a new object and then copy it. So that is called as a deep copy here. So what will happen in deep copy is, for example, okay, assume that there is a list. Okay, so this is a list which contain another list. I said, you can find the difference between deep copy and shallow copy. You can find the difference between deep copy and shallow copy if the objects inside the list are what? Mutable. If it is immutable, then you cannot find difference between deep copy and shallow copy. So inside the list, I created another list. Inside the list, I created what here? Another list. Inside the list, one more list is there. So it means, is it this element is a list or not? Yes. So this is 40, 50 and 60. These are integer objects. And integer objects are immutable. But list object is mutable or not? Yes. List object is mutable, but integer is what here? Immutable. So can I do the changes in this list? Yes. I can add the element in the list. I can remove the element from the list. I can replace the element of what? List. But can I change the value of this object? No, because if I'm trying to change the value, it will create one new object. So because integer is immutable, now I'm trying to import the copy module. So import the copy module here, because to perform deep copy, you're trying to use which module? Copy module. Import copy module and you're saying list2 equal to copy dot. What is the name of this here? Deep copy. Copy dot deep copy. And you are creating a copy of which one? List1. So now there are two lists. Now this is a list1. This is a list1 and this is what here? List2. So it means there is no link between list1 and what? List2, because these are different object and this is different objects. But whereas in shallow copy, it just copy only address. So what will happen if I'm writing list1 of 0? List1 of 0. What is list1 of 0 here? List. List1 of 0 is what here? List. And to this list, I'm trying to add one element. If I add an element to a list1 of list, okay, so that changes are applied to only list1. But is it that changes are applied to list2? No. But whereas in shallow copy, if you do adding in list1, so that will reflect to which one? List2. If you do changes using list2, that changes reflect to what? List1. But here, is it these both are different objects or not? Yes. These are both different objects, but you are implementing this deep copy by using which one? Copy module. You have to import one copy module, and after importing the copy module, you have to use one function called deep copy. After importing the copy module, you have to use one function called which one? Deep copy. So what will happen in deep copy in this case? So what will happen in deep copy in this case is, for example, this is list1, which is having another list with some 10, 20, and there is a 30, 40. So what will happen? It will create one list. And this list is having how many elements? 3 elements are there. This list contain how many elements here? 3 elements. So this is having the address of first element. This is having the address of second element. This is having the address of what? Third element. So what is the first element here? List. What is the first element here? List. Okay. And this list is having how many values? 2 values. That is 10 and 20. What is the second element here? Integer object. So what is the value of this here? 30. So what is the third element here? Integer object. So what is the value of this here? 40. Okay, assume that address of this is some 1000 and address of this object is some 2000 and address of this object is some 3000. Address of this object is 1000, address of this object is 2000, address of this object is 3000. So this is having an address called 1000. This is having 2000. This is having which one? 3000. So what is the index starts at here? 0. This index is 0. This index is 1. And this index is what? 2. So what is the first element in the list 1? List. What is the second element in the list 1? 30. What is the third element in list 1? 40. What is the first element in list 1? List only. First element in the list 1 is a lister. Second element in the list 1 is what? 30. Third element in list 1 is what? 40. So what I am doing is, I am trying to create a copy of it by saying import. I try to import. Which module I am importing? Copy module. After importing copy module, I am saying list2 equal to copy dot. Which function are you using? Deep copy. Copy dot. Which function are you using? Deep copy of which list here? List 1. List 2 equal to copy dot. Which function are you calling? Deep copy function. You are creating a deep copy function of what? List 1. So what will happen in deep copy now? It will create one more list. Another list object is created. Another list object is created. Another list object is created. But is it this list object is holding the address of these objects? No. This list object doesn't hold the address of these objects. But rather than, is it copying the addresses? No. It will create one more new object. It will create one more new objects and copy the values. It will create one more new object and then copy the values. So this is one new list, right? With the value is 10 and this value is what here? 20. Okay, assume that this address is what here? 4000. Now, is it any link? Is it any link between the list 1 and list 2? No. If you do changes in list 1, the changes will not be done in what? List 2. If you do changes in list 2, the changes will not be done in what? List 1. No. If you do changes in list 1, the changes will not be done in list 2. If you do changes in list 2, the changes will not be done in list 1. But if it is shallow copy, what will happen? So both the list will be hold the same object or different object, same objects. So it is nothing but address copy. This is nothing but which one? Address copy. So just copy the addresses. Whatever addresses are there inside this list, whichever addresses are there inside this list, the same addresses are copied inside what? Another list. So that this both the list will point to the same object or different object, same object. So here list 1 is pointing to the same object and list 2 is also pointing toward same object. List 1 is pointing to the same object and list 2 is also pointing toward same object. So if you do changes if you are doing changes using list 1, the changes can reflect toward list 2. If you do changes using list 2, the changes will reflect toward list 1. Because is it both are pointing to the same object or different object? Same object. But when it comes to the deep copy, is it pointing to the same object or two different objects? Two different objects. So in application development, you may create a copy. Why you create a copy? Suppose if you do any changes, I don't want the changes to be done, that changes to be reflected toward original. So this is original list and I try to perform all the operations on which one? Copy of the list. This is original list, and I try to perform all the operations on which one? Copy of the list. So that my original data may not lose it, right? So for that, you'll try to create which one? Copies. So that is two copies. One is a deep copy and one more is what? Shallow copy. So this is what will happen if you are working with which copy? Shallow copy, right? If you see this example, I try to append one value in list one of which one? List. But is it that element is added here? No. If I'm trying to say list 2 of 0, list 2.0 dot append, I try to append a value called 88. Is it that change is done in list 2, but is it reflect to list 1 here? No, because these are two different objects. These are two different objects. For example, if it is a shallow copy, suppose I create L1. So L1 equal to 1020. Yesterday we have seen this. Okay, 30, 40. And I'll say L2 equal to L1 dot copy. Now, copy method of list will create which copy? Shallow copy. So is it L1, L2 both are pointing to the same objects or different objects? Same object. But create a new object, hold the same addresses or different address, same address. So what will happen? Suppose I'll say print L1, print L1. Okay, print L1 and print what is that? L2. I'm trying to write L1 of 0 dot append. L1 of 0 dot append. I try to append. This 99 to which one? This 99 to which one? L1. Okay, L1 of 0. L1 of 0. And if I say print L1 and if I say print L2, but actually we append to which one? L1. But can you see the same thing in L2 or not? Yes, because both are holding the same addresses are different, same addresses. So this copy is helpful when you are working with the functions. When you are working with the functions, you send a list from one function toward another function, but whatever changes done in that function, I want that changes to be reflect toward calling function. Then you create which copy here? Shallow copy. Then you create which copy here? Shallow copy. If you don't want the changes done by that function should be reflect toward calling function, then you create which copy? Deep copy. Otherwise, you create which copy? Deep copy. So this is how you import copy and then you do all the operations here. So, but for this, you are using which module? A separate module you are using, and that separate module is what? Copy module. You are using a separate module, and that separate module is called as which one? Copy module. Yeah, this is how you create a copy of the list. This is how you create the copy of the list, right? Okay, yes. So this is called as which method here? Copy method. So copy method and deep copy function. So copy function and one more is a deep copy function. So these are two types of copyings, right? So next we'll see. So working with the nested list. Working with which one here? Nested list. Nested list means a list inside a list. Okay. List inside list is called which one here? Nested list. List inside a list. List inside a list is called as which one here? Nested list. List inside a list is called as which one? Nested list. For example, when you go for nested list, if you want to represent more data, or if you want to represent data in the form of rows and columns, if you want to represent data in the form of rows and columns, then you go for which one here? Nested list. For example, I want to represent one student details. I want to represent one student detail. So one student is having roll number. One student is having roll number and is having name. Okay, is having name and is having which one? Course. So student is having roll number, name, and what is that? Course. So this list represent one student or number of students? One student. But I want to represent 5 students. Then what will I do? I create how many lists? 5 lists. So this list represent one student. To represent 5 students, I have to create how many lists? 5 lists. So you create 5 lists inside what? List. You create a 5 list inside what here? List. Now this is called as student data. This is called as which data here? Student data. And each student you are representing it as one list. So each list is called as one row. Each list is called as what here? One row. And each value is called as one column. Each list is called as one row, and each value is called as which one? One column. So in nested list, okay, data is organized. Data is organized in rows and what is that? Columns. In nested list, data is organized. In nested list, data is organized in the form of rows and columns. So you can say nested list. Nested list can be used to represent. Nested list can be used to represent. Nested list can be used to represent which one? Matrix. Nested list can be used to represent which one? Matrix. So what matrix contain? Number of rows and columns. What matrix is having? Number of rows and columns. So it's nothing but representing a list as an element of a list. Representing list as an element of a list is called which one again? Nested list. You are representing a list as an element. You are representing a list as an element of a list. So that you can call it as which one? Nested list. Nested list. So inside the list, you can write one element as another list. For example, I am writing list 1 equal to this is a list. And inside the list, actually you will store what? Values. Inside the list, you will store what? Values. Now this is a list contain how many values? 5 values. This is a list contain how many values? 5 values. Okay. So what is the size of this list here? 5. So this is a list which contain how many values? 5 values. So the value at this is 10 and this is 20, this is 30, this is 40 and this value is what? 50. Within the list, I can represent elements as a list. Within the list, I can represent the elements as what here? List. This is the first list, this is the second list, this is the third list, this is the fourth list. But all these lists are empty or not? Yes. So this list is having how many elements here? 5 elements. And this list is having how many elements here? 4 elements. This list is having how many elements here? 5 elements. And each element is which type? Integer type. Each element is which type? integer type. But in this list, how many elements are there? 4 elements, and each element is which type? List type. Each element is which type here? List type. Now, this is a list, this is a list, and within this list, how many elements are there? 4 elements are there, but each element is one list or not? Yes. Each element is one list. This is having one list, this is having one list, this is having one list, this is having another list. But is it this list is empty or not? Yes. Is it this list is having any values? No. Is it this list is having any values? No. Is it this list is having any values? No. Is it this list is having any values? No. So what is the first element in list 1? What is the first element in list 1? 10. What is the second element in list 1? 20. What is the third element in list 1? 30. What is the fourth element in list 1? 40. What is the fifth element in list 1? 50. What is the first element in list 2? List. What is the second element in list 2? List. What is the third element in list 2? List. What is the fourth element in list 2? List. Bring on. So it means you are trying to store a list inside a list. So list 3, list 3 equal to list which contain 1 and 2. So 1 and 2 and one more is a 3 and 4. So what will happen now? There is one list is created. So the list is having how many elements? 2 elements. This list 3 is having how many elements? 2 elements. And each element is one list or not? Yes. So first element is what? List. Second element is what? List. And this list is having how many values? 2 values. This list is having how many values? 2 values. So this is a list contain how many values? 2 values, and this is 2 values. So what is the value at first location? 1. What is the value at second location? 2. What is the value at first location? 3. What is the value at second location? 4. So what is the index of this? 0. What is the index of this? 1. So what is the first element in the list 3? 1, 2. What is the second element in the list 3? 3, 4. So 1, 2 is one list and 3, 4 is another list. So each list is again having index or not? Yes. Okay. This is having again index. Now this index is 0 and this is index is what? 1. So you need to use 2 subscripts. Now that is 0 and what is this? 0. So 0, 0. First element, first row, first column. First row and second column. Second row, first column, and second row and second column. Now you are trying to use how many subscripts here? 2 subscripts. One is a row and one more is what? Column. One is a row and other one is a columns. So whereas here in nested list, okay, you can organize the data logically by dividing into the number of rows and columns. Logically by dividing into number of rows and columns here, right? Just to see here. Suppose there is a matrix or some list. Okay, list 1. Within the list 1, I am creating 10, 20, 30. So 40, 50, and what is that? 60. And 60, 70, 80, and one more is what? 90. So this is a list which contain how many lists here? 3 lists. This is a list which contain how many lists here? 3 lists. So when I say print list 1, so this list 1 is having how many lists? 3 lists. 3 lists are there inside the list. So first it will create one list. I can write like this. So this represent what here? Rows, right? So this is 0, this is 1, this is what? 2. So this you can call it as outer list. And inside this list, so this is having, first row is having how many columns? 3 columns. Second row is having how many columns? 3 columns. 3 columns means how many values? 3 values. Now third row is having how many values? 3 values. So what is the values of this list? 10, 20, 30. And what is the value of this year? 40, 50, and one more is what? 60. And what is the value of this year? 70, 80. And this value is what here? 90. Now, if I am writing list 1 of 0, will it get the list or not? Yes. If I say list 1 of 1, will I get the list or not? Yes. If I say list 1 of 2, I'll get the list. Because each element inside the list is one list. So I'm writing here print. Print list 1 of. List 1 of which one? 0. List 1 of 0 is one list. If I'm saying print list 1 of 1. This is the second row. And I'm saying print list 1 of 2. And this is what here? Third row. Okay, this is the first row and this is the second row. And this is what here? Third row. If I want to get the elements in from each row, I can write list 1 of 0, 0. List 1 of 0, 0. This is called as 0, 0, 0, 1 and 0, 2. And this is 1, 0, 1, 1 and 1, 2. And this is 2, 0 and 2, 1. And what is that? 2, 2. So list 1 of 0, 0 and list 1 of 0, 1 and list 1 of 0, 2. List 1 of 0, 2 and print list 1 of 1, 0. Okay, list 1 of 1, 1 and list 1 of 1, 2. So this, 1, 2. Okay, 1, 2 actually. So print list 1 of. So print list 1 of. Okay, what is this? 2, 0. List 1 of 2, 0. And list 1 of 2 and 1. And list 1 of 2 and 2. So that is third row, first column. And third row, second column. And third row, what? Third row. So you are trying to read it by using two indexes. One is called as a row index and other one is called as a column index. One is called as a row index. The other one is called as a column index. Okay. So for example, I want to write a, yes. So this is reading elements from nested list using which one? Index. Reading elements from the nested list using which one? Index. Reading elements from nested list using index. So first I take one list here and this list is having 1, 2, 3 or I just write 10, 20, 30. This is the first list and 40, 50, 60 is the second list and then 70, 80, 90 is the third list. So this is a list which contain how many lists here? 3 lists. So 3 list is nothing but 3 rows or not? Yes. So this is called as which index here? A row index. Any variable you can index. For example, I represent what? A row index. So how many rows are there? How many rows are there? 3 rows. So I'm saying range of 3. So what is a 3 here? Stop. What is a 3 here? Stop. Then what is a start? 0. What is a stop? 3. What is a step? 1. So this will generate how many values? 3 values. 0, 1, 2. So what is the first I value here? 0. Because index starts from where? 0. So first row, from first row means from first list, I have to read how many values? 3 values. Then I take one more for loop for j in range of which one? 3. So how many columns are there? 3 columns. What is the start here? 0. What is the stop here? 3. What is the step here? 1. So this range will generate how many values? 3 values. 0, 1 and 2. Then I try to print. Print list 1 of I is nothing but row and J is nothing but column. I is nothing but row index and J is nothing but column index, and I try to print in the same row. Okay. Yes. After printing each row, I try to insert new line. After printing each row, I try to insert one new line. So here we are trying to use two indexes. One is called as a row index. The other one is called as which one? Column index. You are trying to use two indexes. One is called as a row index and other one is called as which one? Column index. If I run this, you can see 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. So the elements of first row, second. Now reading elements from nested list using which one? Index. You can read the elements, reading elements from nested list without using, without, without using which one? Index. Without using index means you can use directly for loop. You can use directly which one? For loop. So for, okay, for, now you are reading each time one element from the for loop. Each time you are reading one element from what? For loop. And each element in the list is what? List. Each element in the list is what? List. Okay, assume that I take each element as one row. So for row in list 1, for row in list 1, when I say for row in list 1, from list 1 it will read first element. And what is the first element in the list 1? List. Is it this is called as one row or not? Yes. So after reading the first row, from this row, I should read what? Values. From this row, I should read what? Values. From this row, I should read what? Values. And these values are nothing but columns are not. Yes. For column in which one? Row. Is it row is one list or not? Yes. From this list, it will read the first value and read the second value and read the third value. After reading three values, then it will read one more element, and one more element is nothing but another list. So what is a row now? Second list. And from this second list, you are trying to read how many values? Three values. Then after that, it will read one more element, and this is the third list. And from this list, again, you are reading how many values? Three values. So then print. Which values you are printing? Column values. So this is without using what? Index. This is not by using index. This is without using index. So once you run this, you can see 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 and 70, 80, 90. So but advantage of index is you can read sequentially as well as randomly. Advantage of index is you can read in both the order, that is in sequential order as well as random order. Okay, right? Yes. So reading elements from the nested list using which one here? Index, right? So this is how you are trying to do it. Okay. So this is an example of reading elements. Elements of nested what? List. But here we try to read in two ways, by using index, and second one is without using index. using index, and second one is without using index. Okay. Then how can you input the values in the nested list at runtime? How can you input the values in the nested list at runtime? Suppose if the question is write a program to read 3 by 3 matrix and display. Write a program to read 3 by 3 matrix and display. Suppose if the question is like this, write a program to read 3 by 3 matrix and display. So how can you do this? If the question is asked like this, write a program to read 3 by 3 matrix and what is that? Display. How can I read a 3 by 3 matrix and I should display the elements? How can you read a 3 by 3 matrix and display the elements? So first you have to create one list. So what is the name of this list here? Matrix. But this list is having any list? No. I have to create how many lists inside this list? 3 lists. And inside that 3 list, I should add how many values? 3 values. So then I'm using for I in. For I in range of, what is that? 3. So this loop is executed how many times? 3 times. So because this range will generate 0, 1, 2. Then each time what I'm doing is, each time I'm creating one list. This is an empty list. And this list I'm adding to the matrix. By saying matrix dot append, which one is added here? List. Which one is added to the matrix here? List is added to the matrix. So this for loop is executed how many times? 3 times. So how many list will be added into this matrix? 3 lists. Okay, you add this list inside what? Matrix. And inside this list, you have to read how many values? 3 values. Then I'm saying for j in range of what? 3. Then input the element. So integer of input. Input enter any value. And this value you're trying to add to which one? List. So list dot append. What you're trying to append? Element. You try to append this element to which one? List. But where is this list? This list is already appended to which one? Matrix. So next, what is the value of I? 1. So one more list is created. And that list is added to which one? Matrix. And within that list, you are adding how many values? 3 values. So next, I value becomes what? 2. And there is one more list is created. And this list is added to which one? Matrix. And within that list, you are reading how many values? 3 values. So it means 3 rows and 3 columns. 3 rows and 3 columns. And after that, I want to read all the values for row in which one? Matrix. For column in which one? Row. And print. Which value? Column value. So I just print this values here. So once you run this, so enter any value, some 1, 2, 3, 4, oh. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm having how many rows here? 3 rows and 3 columns. If you want to print a matrix, you can print directly matrix. So it will print in the list format 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, some 80 and 90. You can see this is a matrix elements and this is a matrix. So first I created list and inside that list I created how many lists here? 3 lists. Okay, 3 lists. So this is how you read the matrix or how you create the matrix. Suppose assume that write a program to read. Okay, write a program to read some M students, N subject marks. Write a program to read M student, N subject marks and display. M students and how many subject marks? N subject marks. Write a program to read. I want to read the details of how many students here, M students, and how many subjects here, N subjects. Suppose the value of M is 4, then how many students? 4 students. And the value of N is 3. How many subjects? 3 subjects. Now each student is having how many subjects? 3 subjects. So I have to create how many students? 4 students. And each student is having 3 subjects. Then I want to calculate total. Each student, I want to display each student along with total average as well as result. Total average and result. Okay, total average and result. Display. Okay, display what? Student details with total average and result, whether is pass or fail. With the result, whether is pass or what? Fail. Okay, right. Then first you have to read the value of what? M. So M is nothing but number of students or not? Yes. So M equal to integer of input. Enter how many students? Enter how many students? Number of students. M is nothing but number of students. Then N equal to integer of input. Enter how many subjects for each student. Okay. How many subjects? How many subjects for each student? So then I have to create what is this here? A list. I have to create a student list. And the student list should contain the marks of students or not? Yes. So for that I'm saying for I in range of M. M is nothing but number of students. For example, if the value of M is 4, this loop is executed how many times? 4 times. Then 4 times means I need to create how many students? 4 students. So 4 student means each student is one list. Each student is one list. And inside this list, I have to read how many values? N values. Inside this list, I have to read how many values? N values. Then I'm saying for J in range of which one? N. Suppose number of subjects are 3, then this loop is executed how many times? 3 times. Now each time you should read the marks. You should read the marks, one subject marks, and you have to add it. Okay, so then I'm saying marks equal to integer of input. Enter what is that? Marks. Enter marks. And then you are saying student dot append. What you are trying to append? Marks. So you read how many subject marks here, n subject marks, and add it to the student. And the student is added to which list? Student list. Okay. So I'm saying student dot append. Now, which one you are trying to append here? Student. So each student is one list. And inside this list, you are reading how many subject marks, n subject marks. And this list you are appending to which list? Student list. This list you are appending to which list here? Student list by using a method called what? Append. Now after this, I want to print total, average, and one more is what? Result. So it's very simple. Now suppose I want to read each student details. Each student is nothing but row or not? Yes. Each row I should read it. Each row is one student. So for student, for STUD in student, student is a list, and inside this list, each student is another list or not? Yes. So each time you are reading one list, after reading the list, you are printing that list, that student, and I want to do which one? Total. This is which one? Total. And this is which one? This is total, and this is a average. So total, and this is what here? Average. Average is nothing but number of subjects or not? Yes. So total by n. Average is nothing but total by n. But you are trying to do the total by using which function? Sum function. And sum of student divided by n. So it is like this. Each student is one list. Each student is one list. Now this is a list. And inside this list, what is the name of this list? Student. What is the name of this list here? Student is a list. Now this is 0, this is 1, and this is what? 2. So it means total how many students are there? 3 students are there. And each student is having how many subjects? Assume that. Assume that how many subjects are there each student? 3 subjects. Each student is having how many subjects here? 3 subjects. So what you are doing it every time you are reading one student. So this student is assigned to which one? Student. Is it STUD is one list or not? Yes. Then you are saying print a student. Means you print the marks of the student. You print the total marks of the student. You print the average marks of the student. You print the student marks and you print the total marks of the student. You print the average marks of the student. And I want to print even what? Result. I want to print even result. So to print the result, I'm just writing here E and D equal to some space here. Then after that, I'm checking here. Suppose if STUD, if STUD of 0 is less than, if STUD is 0, STUD of 0 is less than 40, or STUD of 1 is less than 40, or STUD of 2 is less than, STUD of 2 is less than what? 40, then you are saying this student is pass or fail? Fail. I said this is fail. Is fail. Otherwise, you are trying to say what here? Pass. You are saying fail, otherwise you are displaying the result as what here? Pass. Just to try to understand this. So see the code here, how I've written. The example is very simple. Now write a program to read. How many students here? M students. And how many subjects here? N subjects. Okay. So what I'm doing is, so once I run this, Is asking enter how many students? 3 students and 2 subject marks. Okay. So this is a first student marks, and this is a second student marks. Okay, this is a second student marks, and this is a third student marks. Okay, so each student is having STUD. So 3 students, 2 subjects. So just enter 3 students and 2 subjects. Okay, now this is third student and 0, 1, 2 subjects only, right? 2 subjects means, oh, so this should be invalid, right? Because how many subjects are there? Only 2 subjects. So that is, then what you have to do, you should not do like this, right? You have to use which loop? You have to use what? For loop. So for in range of number of subjects, the number of subjects for in range of n, for in range of what? N. So because each time you have to check with one subject or not. So STUD of, what you are writing, STUD of which one? I. If STUD of I is less than which one? 40. If STUD of I is less than what here? 40. Then you are saying this person is what here? Fail. STUD of I is less than 40. But actually you have to check all the subjects or only one subject. All the subjects. So the I value starts from where here? 0. So first subject is less than 40. Then you will say fail. Then is it required to check for other subjects? No. Not required to check for other subjects or not? Yes. So I just terminate it by saying which one? Break. Break by just giving some value. I'll take it. Some fail. Okay. Suppose I just take one variable, some flag. Flag equal to what is that? True. Flag equal to which one? True. It means if the student is fail, the value of flag will be what? True. If the student is pass, the value of flag will be what here? False. The value of flag will be what here? False. So when this loop is executed, okay, suppose it will read the first subject, and if the first subject is less than 40, then is fail, the value of flag becomes what? True. And then it terminates the loop. Suppose it read the first subject and first subject is not less than 40. Then is it flag is a true or false? Also. Then read the second subject. Second subject is not less than 40. Then flag is a true or false? False. So it will read the third subject and third subject is not less than 40. Then flag is a true or false? False. When the flag, you are making it as a true if the student is what? Fail. So this flag indicates whether is pass or fail. If it's a pass, the value of flag remains what? False. If it's fail, the value of flag remains what? True. Outside the loop, you are saying if a flag equal to which one? False. Then is this pass or fail? If the flag is a false, then is this pass or fail? Pass. Correct or not? If the flag is a false, then is pass or fail? Pass. So flag, initially you are taking false. You are reading each time one's marks. First subject marks is not less than 40. Second subject marks is not less than 40. Third subject marks is not less than 40. Is it this block is executed? No. Then value of flag is remain what? False. If the value of flag is a false, is pass or fail? Pass. Suppose first subject marks it read. First subject marks is less than 40. Then what will happen? It will print what? Fail. And then flag equal to which one? True, and terminates. Terminates. And is it flag? What is the value of flag? True. Is it true is equal to false? No. Now just run this here. How many subject marks are there? Spelling. flag. So how many subjects marks you required? Some assume that 2 students and 2 subjects. Okay, now this is the first student marks, and this is the second student marks. Okay, now if you see this first student, these are the marks, and this is a total, and this is what average, and is pass. And this is a second student, and this is a total, and this is the average, and this is a result, which is what fail. Now run this. Number of students, some 3 students, 2 subjects, enter. This is a first student, and this is a second student, and this is what here, third student. Now you can see this is first student, and this is a second student, and this is what here, third student. So each time you're reading the data. Now this is nested list. Nested list means where you represent a list inside a list. Representing a list inside a list, that you can call it as which one? List. So this is another simple example. Okay, right? So that is called as a nested list. Writing a list inside a list. So you can have any number of, for example, so write a program, suppose write a program to add 2 matrices. So write a program to add what? 2 matrices, right? I want to add 2 matrices. Like I want to read some 3 by 3 matrix, a 2 by 2 matrix, or m by n matrix, and I want to add it. You cannot add it by using plus operator directly, because plus is used for concatenation or addition, concatenation. If you are using plus on sequences, will it do addition or concatenation? Concatenation, but it will not do what? Addition. It will do concatenation, but it will not do addition. Now, write a program to add 2 matrices. Then what I have to do? So I have to read. I have to read how many matrices? 2. One is a matrix 1, and second one is what? Matrix 2, and this is a matrix 3. So I required how many matrices? 3 matrices. So that is a matrix 1, matrix 2, and matrix 3. 3 matrices are there. One is matrix 1, matrix 2, and one more is a matrix 3. Then number of, how many rows? Integer of input. Enter how many rows? Enter how many rows? You want to create how many rows? And n equal to integer of input. Okay, integer of input. Enter how many columns? You want to read how many rows and columns? You want to read how many rows and columns. So that is enter how many rows and input enter how many columns. Then you have to read it. Now I'm just writing a print. So enter elements of which matrix? Matrix 1. Enter elements of matrix 1 for I in range of m. So then I have to create one row. Each row is one list. And inside this list, I have to read how many values? N values. I have to read how many values here? N values. So range of n. And each time you have to read one element. So enter what is this element? So this code can be reduced. This code can be reduced. I'll tell you how to reduce the code. So row dot append. So what you are trying to append? Element. And this row you are adding to which one? Matrix 1 by saying matrix 1 dot append a row. So first you created a row, and inside this row read how many elements? N elements. And this row is append to which one? Matrix 1. Then print enter elements of which one here? Matrix 2. So for I in range of M again, and for J in range of N. For I in range of M, for J in range of N. For I in range of M, for J in range of N. Then create, before that, you create one row. Okay, row is one list, and then read elements, integer of input. Enter what is that? Element. Enter element. And this element you are adding to the row. Row dot append what? Element. And this row you are appending to which one? Matrix 2. So this is how we read elements in matrix 1 and matrix 2. This is how we read the elements in matrix 1 and matrix. So I displayed. So this is a matrix 1, and this is what here? Matrix 2. So there is a matrix 1, and there is what here? Matrix 2. So how many matrices are there here? 2 matrices. So one is a matrix 1, and other one is what? Matrix 2. So what you can do is you can run this. So here we have not done any addition here. How many rows? 2 by 2 matrix. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is a 2 by 2 matrix which is having how many rows here? 2 rows and 2 columns. Now I want to add it. Can I do addition like this? Matrix 3 equal to matrix 1 plus matrix 2. If I'm trying to add like this, will it add it? No. If I'm trying to do like this, will it add it? No, it will not do addition. Suppose 2 rows and 2 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, because plus is used on sequences not for addition. Plus is used on sequences for doing what? Concatenation. Not for addition, but it will do what here? Concatenation. Oh, not printed. Matrix 3. You have to print matrix 3. Number of rows, 2 and 2 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But what it is done, matrix 3 is having elements of matrix 1, elements of what? Matrix 2. But is it addition or concatenation? Concatenation. It is not done addition. It is done what here? Concatenation. But I don't want concatenation. I want what? Addition. Then what I have to do? I have to read each time one element. Each time I should read one element from matrix 1, one element from matrix 2, add and put in what? Matrix 3. So for I in range of how many rows are there? M rows. Then create one row here, because you are adding and storing inside one list, and that list you are adding into what? Matrix 3. That list you are adding into what? Matrix 3. Now this is a row. Row is nothing but list. Yeah, row is a list. And then I'm saying for Jn, for Jn range of which one? N. Then row dot append. What you are trying to append? Matrix 1 of ij. Matrix 1 of ij plus, I'm saying here matrix 2 of ij. I is nothing but row index. I is nothing but which index here? Row index. And j is nothing but which index? Column index. So matrix 1 of 0, 0 plus matrix 2 of 0, 0. Matrix 1 of 0, 1 plus matrix 2 of what? 0, 1. And that you are adding inside what? List. And this row is added to which one? Matrix 3. Dot append which one? Row. So now you can print which one? Matrix 3, which is nothing but some. Enter how many rows? 2 rows and 2 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8. You can see 1 plus 5 is what? 6. 2 plus 6 is what? 8. And 3 plus 7 is 10. And 4 plus 8 is what? 12. Getting or not? Okay. So just try to understand here. But this is reading the elements at runtime. This is reading the elements at what? Runtime. So first you create a matrix and create number of rows in that matrix, because each row is one list, and add a number of elements in each row, and add each row into what here? Matrix. So you can create a list in different ways, right? You can create a list in different ways. How many ways can you create a list is? You can create a list by using square brackets. How many ways can you create a list is? You can create a list using square brackets. Okay. So that is what you learn in the beginning, right? You can create a list by using square brackets. Now the square brackets represent which list? Empty list. You can create a list by writing the square brackets with what? Values. So values are separated with what? Comma. So this is a list with this is a list with what here? Values. You can create a list by using which type? List type. Now this is nothing but converting other collections into which type? List type. I want to create a list using range. I want to create a list using list. I want to create a list using string. I want to create a list using set. I want to create a list using dictionary. If you want to convert other collections into which type? List type. Then you are using which one here? List. If you want to convert other collections into list type, then use what? List. There is one more, converting. This is for converting other iterables. Converting other iterables into other iterables. Converting other iterables into which type here? List type. Converting other iterables into a list type. So that is done by using which one? List function. You can also create a list by using list comprehension. So there is one more way of creating a list, and that is called as which one? Comprehension. Comprehension. This is another approach. List comprehension is what? Another approach. So what is comprehension? Comprehensions also called as displays. You can create a list by defining the elements explicitly within the square brackets. You can create a list by defining the list elements explicitly within the square brackets. Yes or no? You can define the list elements. You can define the list elements explicitly within what? Square brackets. You can define the list elements explicitly within the square brackets, that is 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. Or within the square brackets, you can write a for loop. Inside the square bracket, you can use what? For loop. And within the square bracket, you can use what? If. Inside the square bracket, you can also use for loop as well as what? If. So that you call it as which one? Comprehension. So generally, this comes under comprehension, comes under displays, and which is one of the easiest way of creating a list rather than writing lengthy of coding. You can make it in simple one line coding. So that can be done by using which one? Comprehension. So this is also called as displays. Displays for list, sets, and what is that? Dictionary. Displays. This is also called as a displays. So for constructing so for constructing a list, a set, or what is that? Dictionary, Python provides a special syntax called which one? Displays. For constructing a list, set, or a dictionary, Python provides a special syntax called which one? Display. And each of them in how many flavors here? Two flavors. One is either container contents are listed what? Explicitly. Container contents are listed what? Explicitly, or they are computed by a set of looping and what? Filtering instructions called which one? Comprehension. You can create it. You can create it by using looping and filtering instructions, and that you can call it as which one? Comprehension. Is one of the easiest way of creating a list, set, and a dictionary. Okay, writing in one statement. Okay, so first one is we'll talk about now. Here we'll talk about list comprehension. But once we go for sets, I'll tell you about set comprehension. But here I'm talking about which comprehension? List comprehension. List comprehension. So we can create a list. We can create a list. We can create a list. We can create a list using for loop, and if condition. We can create a list using for loop and if condition, defining inside what? Square brackets. So this is called which one? List. Which one? Comprehension. It is called as a list comprehension. We can create a list using for loop and if condition, defining inside what? Square brackets. Defined inside what? Square brackets. Defined inside what? Square brackets. And that you can call it as which one? List comprehension. We can create a list using for loop and if condition defined inside what? Square brackets. And this is called as which comprehension? List comprehension. So comprehension makes it writing everything in one statement. Now there is various syntaxes are there. This is a syntax one where in square bracket you are writing a value, or expression, and for variable in what is this? Iterable. So this is a syntax one. So what you are doing in syntax one? Within the square bracket, you are writing a value or what? Expression, and followed by which one? For loop. Means inside the square bracket, you can represent values, and inside this square bracket, you can compute these values by using which one? For loop. This is syntax 1, and there is another syntax is there, and that is value, or what is this expression for variable in iterable. Iterable is nothing but collection. Every collection is called as one iterable and followed by if condition. Followed by if condition. Syntax 1. Value or expression for variable in iterable. Value or expression for variable in what? Iterable, and if followed by which one? Condition. If followed by condition. For example, I want to create a list. For example, I want to create a list. I want to create a list with 5 values, or I want to create a list. I want to create a list with squares of. I want to create a list with the squares of all the integers. I want to create the list with the squares of all the integers from 1 to 10. I want to create the list with the squares of all the integers from 1 to 10. Then how can I create? I want to create a list. I want to create a list with the squares of all the integers from 1 to 10. What will I do first? I'll create one empty list. Then each time I'll read one value for number in 1 comma range 1 comma what is that? 11. So this will generate how many values? 10 values. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So what is the first value in the range? 1. Then inside the list 1, I should say append. Append what is that? Num to the power of 2. Num to the power of what? 2. So what you are doing it? First you are creating one empty list, and then you are reading each value generated by what? Range. What is the first value generated by the range? 1. And 1 to the power of 2 is added in what? List 1. What is the next value in the range? 2. And 2 to the power of 2 is added in list 1. What is the next value in the range? 3. And 3 to the power of 2 is added in what? List 1. What is the next value in the range? 4. Is it store all the powers of each number or not? Yes. So for this, you have written how many statements? 3 statements. For doing this, how many statements are written here? 3 statements. 3 statements I have written. First, I created one empty list, and then I read number in per number in range comma 1 comma 11, and then I said list 1 dot append num to the power of what is this? 2. And after that, I said print. Print what is this? List 1, and list 1 is having squares of numbers from 1 to 10. 1 square is 1, 2 square is 4, 3 square is 9, 4 square is 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, and one more value is 100. So how many statements have written for this? 1, 2, 3. Instead of writing 3 statements, you can write everything in how many statements? 1 statement. I'll say list 1 equal to what you want to store in list 1. Which value you are adding in the list 1? You are adding num to the power of 2. You are adding which value into the list? Num to the power of 2. And who is generating these numbers? For loop. For number in range of 1 comma 11. 1 comma 11. So how many statements are written? Only 1 statement. So this for loop, each time it will read one value. What is the first value in the range? 1. And 1 to the power of 2 is stored in the list. What is the next value in the range? 2. And 2 to the power of 2 is stored inside the list. What is the next value in the range? 3. And 3 to the power of 2 is stored inside what? List. So how many statements are written here? How many statements are written here? Only 1 statement. So it is one of the easiest or elegant way of creating a list. I'm saying list 2 equal to num to the power of num to the power of 2 for number in range of 1 comma 11. So within the square bracket, and I just write list 2. So it is generated all the values from 1 to 10, 1 square and up to what? 10 square. Okay, so it is one of the easiest way of, creating which one? List. Okay, this is a syntax 1. Actually, this is syntax 1. So what will happen in syntax 1 is, so in syntax 1, so each time for loop read value generated by which one? Iterable, and evaluate which one? Expression. Evaluate expression and store result into list. In syntax 1, each time for loop read value generated by iterable and evaluate expression and store result into list. And store result into what here? List. And store that result into list. Okay, right? So see the evaluation of this. So this is an example here. Okay. So this is first one is without comprehension. What is the first one? Without comprehension. So this statement is without comprehension, and this statement is what here? With the comprehension. This is without comprehension and this is with the comprehension, right? So okay, then we'll see about this in detail, like how to work with the comprehension, but tomorrow we'll see it, right? So today we'll stop it here and tomorrow we'll continue this.